Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello, this is Papa Bale, and welcome to the channel. I hooked up all the coil assemblies with their own transistor, and we're going to look at the outcome of that right now. Just setting off the trigger coil. So when I turn this up, let's see how much we got to turn it up to get all 6 fired. 7 volts, pretty much. And we're going to jack it up to 11. See, we're just trying to stay like below 3 amps. It's kind of our range. That's when everything starts blowing up, because I don't have any resistors on here. We're kind of right in that sweet spot. Gonna have to turn it down, I bet. Anyway, that's what we're working with. It's so smooth, and since each coil is being pulsed with the same amount of energy at the same time, I'm willing to bet there's quite a bit more torque there than just a standard series circuit. I'm actually not willing to put my hand on that right now. I can think of better things to do. But it's so quiet, and it's phenomenal how great it's working. I'm not sure if everything's working properly, or if there might be a crossed wire somewhere. I don't know. It's just working really good. Could it work better? Maybe. Wow, look at that shaft starting to wobble a little bit. That is freaking awesome. That is so cool. I'm wondering if putting cores in the other ones would help out or hurt. I don't know. I'm going to reduce the voltage a little bit. We'll cut it all the way. So that is really cool. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to condense this, because it's a freaking mess to get all that hooked up. I'm surprised. I'm really shocked that nothing's like gone wrong. But I've had things fizzle and fry and everything, and it's a little bit of smoke that smells and tastes terrible. Anyway, I think that's really cool. That's 6 transistors, 1 for each assembly, 1 power supply, and 1 trigger coil. That is reminiscent of what I heard one Bedini coil is set up with 7 strands, a transistor for each strand, and then the 7th one, which just happens to be a separate spot on the rotor, 7 right here, triggers everything. That's where the base is attached, or the gate, depending on what you're using. So that's cool. That means they're all hitting at the same time, they're all doing the same thing, and they all got their own power modulation. It's great. It's a win-win. And you got your one spot here to put a generator coil. You gotta realize something, that these coils don't generate electricity like other coils would. They won't even light an LED. But yet, they're driving this thing at 500, 600, 700 RPMs. So I don't know. Something's got to be right there, but you know, they're really not designed to generate electricity. They're designed to push on a certain part of the magnet on the rotor. So the big coil pushes on the outside where the magnetic flux is the strongest on the edge. If you look at a diagram of a magnet and then how the north and the south pole are created, you'll see that a lot of action is happening on the edge. And then you got one that's drive towards the center, still on the edges because it's hollow. It's an air coil, so you're still pushing on the edges. It's just, it's really sound drive coil right there. That's, and then there's a differentiation in the whatchamacallit, the oscilloscope too. It's like you can tell that there's two coils there instead of one, even though they're kind of glued together. Now, for these coils, the wires are, let me think here, 432 gauge, 430 gauge, 428, 426, and 424 for pretty much all these coils. There are two. See, I ran out of some wire on this one, so there's only 8 complete on the outside one here. There's only 8 complete wires in this one. And then after that happened, I just decided to say screw it, and I came up with 150 turns of 32 and 34 gauge, an assortment of those two gauges. And you can see how it's a lot different size. It's 150 turns there. With the 20 strands, it's only 50 turns. And then the 20 strands is 100 turns for the longer coil. I think it's great for what it does. And I would do a transistor for each group of wires. So like all the 32, group those together and put a transistor on it. All the 30s, put a transistor on it. So if you get what I'm trying to say, if I was going to condense this into a single coil package, I'd use a breadboard, and I'd use 10 transistors, 5 for each coil. And I still would have to use a trigger coil, because these coils are not designed to trigger. They're not designed to light an LED. They're not designed to do any of that, and that's specifically designed that way. Okay? It's not a mistake. I did it on purpose. One more time. For old time's sake. So literally you got to turn it up to 7 before it even turns on. Before you start drawing any amps, you have to turn it up to 7 volts. That is great. Nice pickup. Each one of these coil assemblies also has two capacitors with it. And that will run each coil for a little while. As long as the trigger coil remains in effect, these transistors will fire on the trigger. I think it's awesome. I'm willing to do the solo coil, 10 transistors or even 5 transistors. We'll just pretend that it's one coil, we'll link them up, and we'll just do 5 transistors. I got most of what I'm going to need already. And we'll see about setting that up. Alright. I think it's about time we start condensing a little bit, because this is getting out of control. I can randomly smell things burning. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if it's that safe. I don't think it's that safe. I haven't had any problems yet, but I don't want to jinx myself, really. Yeah, so I'm going to get out my breadboard and I'm going to see about learning how to put this together real fast. See what I can do. It shouldn't be that hard, honestly. Alright, thank you very much. Peace out. Have a good night. Please subscribe. Goodbye now.